Hello, and welcome to Autistically Unapologetic, the unfiltered and unmasked podcast about everything autism. Here's your host, Devin Morrissey.
Hi, and welcome to Autistically Unapologetic with me, Devin Morrissey. I would like to officially welcome you all to episode 16, where today I will be discussing about being autistic and finding your own voice. Now that autism has become more common in today's society, a lot of autistic people out there are beginning to speak up and share what life is like for them on the autism spectrum. I have been fortunate enough over the last decade to meet and become friends with fellow autistic people who have truly inspired me to open up more about my autism. And that couldn't be more said about my next guest. My next guest is a social media sensation, entrepreneur, TikTok star, singer, and actress who many of you will recognize from Netflix's Emmy award-winning docuseries On The Spectrum U.S. She and her mother will be sitting down with me to discuss her time on the show, successfully finding love with her boyfriend of almost 3 years now, and how she has used her voice to inspire the next generation of autistic individuals. Please welcome to Autistically Unapologetic, Abbey Romeo.
Why, hello.
Hi.
How are you two?
I'm good. How are you?
You know what? I am doing well, and I just want to say how happy I am to have you both on this podcast. I know that it's been in the works for a while, and especially since, Christine, you had me be on a YouTube series for your YouTube channel, which, by the way, thank you so much for doing that again. And I thought, what better way to kind of repay than having you guys come on? So thank you so much for coming on.
You're welcome. It's been a pleasure.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to actually get started by asking you guys some questions. So if you're ready, in the words of Ariel, let's rock and roll on this. Well, she didn't say that, but you know what I mean. I'm actually going to start from the very beginning by asking you, Abbey, when were you first diagnosed with autism? When did you find out that you were autistic, and what was your reaction to that?
I found out I had autism when I was 9 years old because I went to an autism school and they started saying the word autism there. And then one time I was in the car with my mom coming home from school and I asked her, do I have autism? And she said, yes. And then we both started to cry.
I can only imagine. I mean, at least your mom was there to better explain it. People think that it's so simple, yet it's so complex at the same time. I found out that I was autistic at 12, and that was confusing. And I'll be honest with you, I was kind of in the same boat as you, Abby. I thought my life was over, but it turns out I've had other plans for the both of us as we grew up and as we grew older, and look at where we are now. Tell me a little bit about your childhood growing up on the autism spectrum, Abby. What was that like for you?
Life was so much harder then. It feels like my words were stuck. I couldn't get them out and my words didn't make sense. They got all jumbled and I felt very isolated and alone. I couldn't join conversations and I felt just like an outsider.
I can relate to that 110%. You know, having to work so hard on skills for literally your entire childhood to then trying to fit into a conversation, it's not as easy as it looks. You know, I mean, you can recite your ABCs just like that, but when engaging in a simple conversation, it's not easy. And one of the most special things that I actually got to learn about you from not just a Netflix show that we were both on, but from being friends outside of the show, is the special connection that you have to one of Disney's animated all-time classics and one of my personal favorites, The Little Mermaid. Can you explain how you connected to its main character, Ariel?
I used to identify with Ariel because Ariel wanted to be where the people were, and she wanted to be on dry land. And when she got there, she had no voice. She couldn't speak. That's how I felt. Autism made me feel like I wasn't human.
And do you feel like you found your voice now? Do you feel like you've been...
Yeah, I did.
That's absolutely fantastic, because I think that you really are sort of like our modern Ariel. Not only do you have a great singing voice, which, by the way, you guys need to hear her sing. She's fantastic. But the story that you've been on for your entire life has been really incredible. And I really felt that, in a way, you're pretty much blazing the trail for future people coming after you to sort of kind of be themselves and find their own voice. So I think that you really send a powerful message. Tell me a little bit about your hat company that you run. I hear that it originally started out by just making hats for fun, and you actually were able to show my girlfriend and I how to make a hat firsthand. What got you started into making hats, Abby, and how does the process of making one of your custom-made hats work?
It all started out while I was in a vocational school, and I was in a work program called Textiles, and I learned how to knit and make hats there on a loom. It's like a floor loom or a rigid head loom for scarves, or a circular loom for hats, or a bead loom to make a bracelet.
How many hats do you make, like, let's say like a week or a month?
And I make hats almost every day, and even scarves too.
Oh wow, I didn't even know you made scarves. That's incredible.
Product line.
Ooh, are we getting a podcast exclusive scarves in the making?
Yep. Yes, we are. It all started out, we started selling them to my mom's friends for the holiday, like for all her friends she went to high school with. And now I'm selling them to my fans.
Ooh, are you pretty in high demand right now because of all the fans that you have?
Oh, yes.
I can only imagine. I mean, how many orders do you think you have on a regular weekly basis?
You know how many you get?
No, you tell me.
Probably about anywhere from like 3 to 10 a week, sometimes more, depending on what's going on. And she has an inventory, so we always try to stay ahead. But one of the things I'd like to say about the hat business to anyone listening that might need a little encouragement, it wasn't as easy as Abby's made it sound like it flowed. We worked really hard, but we went back to the school that trained her, which is called Miller Career and Transition Center, a school for people with special needs and issues. It's a vocational school. And she did weaving, and she was so good at it. The first day I walked in, it's a rigid head loom. It's a big loom that sits on the ground.
No, that's a floor loom. A rigid head loom goes on the table.
Oh, nice. So there's a difference between like a hand loom versus a floor loom. Is that correct?
It was a floor loom. It's like a big machine almost. And I didn't know what she was doing. I walked in on a parent day, and she's weaving, and she's using pedals. And I literally was like overcome with emotion that she was so focused and good at it. She was operating this machine, and I was so excited. And what you learn in the tech school is you don't learn the beginning process of how to start the item. You learn the middle part. So you don't know how to start it, and you don't know how to end it, but you can do the middle part. So that's a problem. So that means I went back to the school, and I went to the teacher and said, hey, can she take advanced weaving? So
and the teacher, and they said no.
And the principal said, no, you can't take advanced weaving. And I said, but I want to start a business for a lot of people with autism. Why don't we get a bunch of craft people that know how to make bracelets and other things? And I'll use my back office of my house. I'll turn it into a workshop.
Yes.
And kids can come here at that time. This is a lot of years ago. But they can come here and they can make their craft, and we'll sell them online. That was my initial plan, to create jobs for people like Abby, and we could have other craft people. And the school said no. They just said no for no reason. They said, just, we don't do that here. And I left very defeated and very sad. And then I thought to myself, you know, we can't just give up. And I had to rethink it. The teacher came to the house and she said, I'm retiring. I'll teach you how to make hats on a circular loom. So the teacher, God bless her, Miss Carol, came to the house and taught us both. So I help Abby by tying off the hats, which means you gotta weave it through, and then you're done with it, so it finishes it. But we didn't take no for an answer. That's our motto, right?
Yep. You guys definitely do not.
It is a motto.
You guys definitely do not take no for an answer. That is a fact.
God bless my high school friends from Massachusetts. I put it on my Facebook page, and I was overwhelmed with how many of my high school classmates actually bought hats and tried to support Abby. And then as she started doing social media, it became more and more and more. So it was not just like that easy. It took years to kind of get it to where it is today.
That's the lesson right there. Success is not overnight. You have to work for it. And I mean, Abby, you and your hat business are the living proof of hard work pays off. And speaking of hard work paying off, you had a full circle moment in regards to the Little Mermaid not too long ago. You not only got to go to the premiere of the live action remake of The Little Mermaid, but you also got to meet the original voice of Ariel herself, Jodi Benson. How did that happen? Because I know how much meeting Jodi meant the world to you.
She reached out to me, and she watched me on On The Spectrum. And I met her at the Grove, and we ate dinner together, and it was amazing. And we even sang for like a minute or so.
They sang together.
It was amazing. She's beautiful, kind, and sweet, and she's just like the original character, Ariel.
That must have been a totally pinch me moment at that time, because you're like, wow, I can't believe I'm meeting the woman that literally was my childhood growing up. That's incredible.
It was for her and me too, because Abby identified with Ariel since she was like 4 years old, and so this was like decades of mermaid connection. And look, I knew the first time Abby gave me the analogy of not being able to talk and wanting to be human and be where the humans are, I was profoundly affected by how intelligent and amazing that analogy was. I couldn't believe how profound it was. So sorry.
Can I say, I also used to identify with the Lion King as well. You know why? Because when Simba lost his father, Mufasa, he felt very sad. And that's how I felt when I missed my mom. Just like that.
Oh.
Yeah.
That is such a powerful analogy.
Mufasa's spirit not to leave him. I feel that way sometimes too when I tell my mom not to leave me.
And she never will. She never will, Abby. You got one of the greatest moms on the planet.
What do I say? I don't know. Remember who you are.
Because I'm Simba and my mom as Mufasa.
Yeah, I'm Mufasa.
Ooh. Christine, you're Mufasa?
I guess so.
Well, speaking of love, I think it'd be a great time to get into this next topic. So, for all of you out there that don't know, or in case you've been living under a rock, Love on the Spectrum is a reality TV show that surrounds the lives of autistic individuals as they encounter love, dating, relationships, etc. So, after 2 successful seasons in Australia and after a massive audience reaction around the world, Netflix and Northern Pictures decided to bring Love on the Spectrum to the United States. And Abby, you were actually one of the first main cast members to literally bring the US version of the show for the first 2 seasons, literally to the global franchise, like all the way to the hierarchy of reality TV. How were you approached to be on Love on the Spectrum? I hear it's actually quite funny.
Right before COVID hit, they went to her autism program called Spectrum Laboratories. Yes. And they were looking for people. Now, meanwhile, it hadn't come out yet. So Love on the Spectrum didn't exist in Australia yet. So we didn't know anything about it.
Wow.
I don't think it had come out yet in Australia when we first started talking to them. So then the pandemic hit, so we did a bunch of Zoom calls. And he had to track her down because she didn't care. Some guy we didn't know who he was. And so they got our email and they reached out, but we still didn't know what it was. For all we knew, it was just, a podcast or some guy doing a documentary. We just didn't know. Anyway, so we did a bunch of Zoom calls, and at the end of the Zoom calls, he said, okay, this show is going to be on, it's for a network that starts with the letter N, but it's not NBC. And I went, ooh, this is for Netflix? And he said, yeah. And I went, oh, I guess you are legit. I thought he was just some random guy. So then one thing led to another, but even at the very beginning, we still didn't know. Then they just told us Netflix. That's all we knew. And then they said the name Love on the Spectrum. Then it came out, and then I watched the first season to see, like, what is this? And how's this going to work? That's kind of how we started. Remember the Zoom calls with people?
Yeah.
Do you remember what you did during one of those Zoom calls when you forgot and you lost your train of thought?
I don't remember.
She was on a Zoom call with the director. And we didn't know who he was. And she's just talking to them like we're talking right now. And she's... How do you feel about love and this and that? And Abby just stopped, looked off camera, and went, Mom, how come when you're driving, you call everyone an asshole?
And I know people do it, and I'd probably do the same thing if I were in New York. I'd call someone and swear at them.
If you were in New York?
Not here, no, but in New York,
yeah.
yes.
No, but driving in LA is stressful, honey.
Oh, my gosh. Abby, you are hilarious. Can I just say that? You are hilarious.
The kids... That's for sure. Yes.
Literally, I had no idea that they were already scouting talent for the US version when the original Australian version wasn't even out yet. So that's complete news to me. And I know that you really wanted to find someone through your Love on the Spectrum experience. And you ended up finding a wonderful young man named David, who we all know is absolutely wonderful. And you and David are about to celebrate your 3-year anniversary together, which is absolutely amazing. How has David changed your life, Abbey?
Well, David is my boyfriend. Well, also my best friend because I didn't have a best friend before David. And we go places together and I feel safe with him and he says things that support me and we understand each other's autism.
Also, your love for lions and lionesses and being able to go to different places like Africa, because as we all know, in the recently released season 2, the world got to catch up with you two on the most romantic full circle trip to Africa to see the lions and the lionesses in person. I know how much this trip has meant to not only you two, but also to your families as well. Were there any particular memories from the trip that you remember the most? And Christine, feel free to chime in with some of your favorite memories as well.
Let me say, saw lionesses and their cubs. That was great. And I was with David when I saw the lionesses and their cubs. And also, right outside my bedroom window, I heard whooping hyenas.
You heard hyenas?
Yes, we did.
Right when I was sleeping, I could hear them right outside my tent. They were very close.
Oh my gosh, that is such a full Lion King circle moment right there.
Also, I got to go in the village and met a medicine man named Barika. And I met 2 little girls named Namotie and Sylvia, and they didn't speak any English, just Swahili, and they were pretty good friends. And the villagers sang and danced and jumped super high in the sky.
Oh, yes, I remember that.
And David and I look forward to doing it again because it was a dream come true for us.
And I definitely hope that it happens for you both. And just like seeing how much your relationship has literally blossomed from going to the Lion Reserve in season 1 and talking about your dreams of going to Africa and seeing the animals up close. And then to going on that amazing trip, which was absolutely incredible, and seeing all those animals, which is absolutely sensational, and being able to live the dreams that you have only dreamt about. For me, that was just incredible. Not to mention the wonderful duet that you two had at the very end of the show. Spoiler alert.
The trip was amazing. From the minute we got there till the minute we ended, it was really a dream come true. I'm a big traveler. In my younger days, I was an exchange student in England, so I love traveling. So to get to go and do something like this, when I hadn't been able to travel for a couple of decades much, it was hard for Abby then, but not anymore. She loves travel just like I did. So to get a trip like that was a whole full circle spiritual awakening for me. The place I've always wanted to be and go to. Watching her and being there with her was like so magical, and everything was just like amazing. The people, it's educational too, of course, because you drive from Nairobi to the reserve. So you land in Nairobi, and we didn't get out of the car, but we didn't have time, and then went to the reserve. And she's right about the tents at night. You're in it's like a tent that part brick and then part canvas. It's on a wooden structure. And remember we heard sounds at night? Mm-hmm. Well, I heard something like clomping and eating, like eating the brush outside. And
oh my gosh.
It could have been a zebra. It could have been a hippopotamus. I don't know.
That would have been neat if it was either one.
They come up. They definitely come up. And they graze because it's open. It's not closed off, so any animal can come up. You can't leave your tent area at night because of that reason.
That's right. Learning how to be respectful of the animals is super key, and especially
or get eaten.
I'm not going to get
true. I think we could all learn the lesson from you guys is how you got to stay where you are unless you might become someone's grubs. And I use that Lion King pun in a fun, silly way. So both seasons of Love on the Spectrum U.S. premiered to a massive audience reaction and was in the top 10 most watched Netflix television shows for several weeks around the world. What was your reaction to the success of the U.S. version of Love on the Spectrum?
It made me, I even had fans did TikTok before Love on the Spectrum aired, and I got people recognize me then.
That actually is true. She started TikTok before Love on the Spectrum, so we didn't make her TikTok really be about Love on the Spectrum. We wanted it to just show what we thought was everyday autism, which is actually not everyday autism. It's Abby's autism. And so just to show, the language and her thinking and her fun, amazing personality and stuff. And so then the show came. So she already had a little bit of exposure to that before the show aired.
It was amazing. I like seeing myself on TV because I used to feel isolated and alone as a little girl.
What was the fun part about seeing yourself on TV? I can imagine that it must have been
very exciting.
I absolutely hate it, and it's embarrassing and weird.
The daughter enjoyed it, the mother didn't like it as much.
Well, it's weird because, it's just you, and you honestly, you have no idea when they're filming or what they're filming. They're just like standing around. There's only two guys. It's not like there's some big crew going action. They're just buzzing around like a mosquito, and you don't even know when they're shooting. So you don't know if you look bad. You don't know if you say something stupid because you're not really aware that they're there. So that part of it is hard. A little bit, because hard to see at the end. It's not hard to do. It's just that when you see it, you go, oh. Or when you're older, it's like that kind of thing. But yeah. She's a rock star, of course.
Oh, absolutely. Abbey is a literal star in the making. And I feel like with what Love on the Spectrum has done for you, I feel that, because you were already huge before, but I feel like you've really inspired a lot of people to go out there and look for love themselves. And, regardless of whether you come back for another season or not, you are just beginning, which is absolutely exciting. And as a friend, really inspirational to watch. How has Love on the Spectrum changed your life in many ways, Abbey? How has the show affected you?
The show really affected me in some ways.
Growth.
And I've come a long way.
And not to mention, you found a really great boyfriend in the process.
A great guy who understands the way my mind works.
I've noticed Abby's confidence be 10 times what it was before the show. There's something about the social media part and just people saying hi to her that I think really bolstered Abby's confidence. And what I would say to all neurodivergent people out there is whatever your next step is, I don't care if you were diagnosed yesterday or you're not diagnosed yet and you might be diagnosed tomorrow, whatever that is, don't compare yourself to anyone else, but try to find things to make you grow and get to your next step. And whatever that is, do you know what I mean? If you're fearful, people write me messages all the time and they'll say, I'm scared of public places. I don't even like going to the grocery store. And I would say, set a bar for yourself. Talk to one person in the grocery store. Just say hello to someone and see what happens. Like just that. It's as simple as that. But for Abbey, I would say the growth and the opportunity for her to learn new things, communication skills, doing that, all led to tremendous growth. It makes me realize I think we all need
I think that what you said, Christine, is absolutely fantastic. Growth is super important. How can we become better people in the long run and if we don't grow? And I have noticed Abby's confidence really grow tenfold since the first time I met you guys, which is hard to believe that 2 years ago just can go by so fast with a snap of a fingers. People don't realize that. But it's incredible just to see just how much the show has showcased your amazing personality, your incredible singing talent, and not to mention just your love of life, which is absolutely fantastic. Obviously, the show has changed so many lives, whether it's a main cast member like you or a supporting cast member like your mom and myself. It's awesome to just see how much you've grown as a human and with a bunch of millions of people that tune into Netflix, which is incredible. So I actually would love to talk a little bit about an opportunity that the both of us are actually currently part of, Epic. Epic. So for those of you that are out there that don't know, Epic Players is a neurodiverse theater performing arts company in New York City that just opened its branch here in Los Angeles. Abbey and I are both inaugural members of its LA branch. We have this big performance coming up in just a few short days. And I'll actually divide
it's a week
this.
From today.
I know. When I am nervous, I am sweating like you wouldn't even believe. And I'll divide this in two questions. First and foremost, what inspired you to try out for Epic?
I replaced it from Spectrum Laboratory. I love singing and dancing, and I wanted to meet new people, and I feel independent there, and I also feel safe there, and I like meeting new people, including you, Devin.
Oh, sucks. That's awesome. And then what has been your favorite part about Epic so far, if I may ask?
My favorite part of Epic is performing, doing singing and dancing.
If you guys haven't heard Abbey sing,
And acting too.
yes, Abby's an incredible actor. For those of you that don't know, we had a acting class, and she came in with a monologue, and she just smashed it out of the ballpark. In other words, she did a fantastic job. And especially, we're all there to support each other, and it's awesome to see all of the wondrous work that Abby's been doing. So if you guys are interested in coming to watch Abbey perform, she's absolutely phenomenal. And the song that she's been working on, which I'm not going to tell what it is because that's only up to Abbey to decide. She's absolutely incredible. So again, Epic just opened up here in LA, and Abbey and I are both performing in the show together, and it's going to be absolutely fantastic. So my last question to you, Abbey, is this. It's very evident that you are such an inspiration to so many people out there, and you really have helped open eyes to what life can be like for different people. What would you like to say to all those people out there that are looking for love, or maybe looking to find happiness or acceptance within themselves? You're a really great example, I think, of finding happiness and really finding love and acceptance as well. All of the above.
Well, those who are feeling lonely out there got to find the right match who, as long as they have things in common, like if they both like the same things, like David and I both like lions. Find someone who understands the way their mind works. Like if I didn't have David, I have to join a group of people like the Lions Club. That's how you do it.
Is there an actual club out there? Because you definitely could run that club.
Like a lion logo, like somewhere.
Just from an outsider's point of view, is that I know a lot of people on the spectrum from Abbey's schooling over the years of the different autism schools she went to, but the area of special interest and connecting with the special interest, I always tell parents, I think that's such a great way to find connection, either socially or romantically, for people that are on the spectrum, is that finding that shared interest and just jumping right into it. So I think that's what you meant with a Lions Club, people that like lions. So,
Really owning those special interests is super key. The fact that you have this amazing love for lions, please never get rid of that. It's such a special trait that makes you you, and it makes you special. And I think that that's what really is so wonderful about you, is that you don't care about what people say. You just roll with life and you enjoy, which is absolutely fantastic. I have to tell you both, I am so happy that you both came on here, because I like to consider you guys as actual friends outside of the show, outside of TV cameras, whatever you want to call it, and really get a chance to learn a lot more about Abbey's life growing up, her time on the show, and sort of where she's headed next. I think that the future is incredibly bright.
Thank you. We love you.
We love you so much, Devin.
Thank you for picking up Abbey for rehearsals.
Hey, Hollywood is not an easy place to navigate, and if it's helping a friend out and getting them to rehearsal back and forth every week, then hey, by all means, I'm always happy to do it.
Thank you, because I couldn't do it because I come from the other direction for my work. It would take me forever and she'd be late every time. So thank you.
Of course, I am always more than happy to help a friend in any way possible. So for those of you out there, if you like what you heard on this episode and want to hear other episodes or stay tuned for future ones, be sure to like and comment and subscribe to this podcast. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and on YouTube. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. I'm Devin Morrissey, and I'll see you right here next time on Autistically Unapologetic.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Autistically Unapologetic with Devin Morrissey. If you like what you hear and you want to see more, don't forget to rate and subscribe to stay tuned for future episodes. Again, thanks for listening.